I met a traveller from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them, and the heart that fed."
And on the pedestal these words appear.
My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair.
Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck,
Boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
The first scientific attempt to document Egyptian monuments was the one done by the scientific committee that came with the French campaign led by Napoleon in 1797. The results were the famous 10 volumes description of Egypt, which included their observation and research about almost everything within the country, including monuments. But the Abu Simbel area was not included as they didn't make it as far as Nubia. And even if they did, the Abu Simbel temples were submerged by sand back at the time, and they remained so for the next 100 years. In March of 1813, a Swiss traveler called Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, who was known by the locals as Sheikh Ibrahim, because he spoke Arabic and dressed up like Arabs, which was a common thing that so many Europeans did back at the time. Burckhardt arrived at Abu Simbel. It was he who first observed the temples. They were submerged by sand to the point that Burckhardt had no clue whether the ancient statues were standing or sitting. When Burckhardt returned to Cairo, he spread the word about Abu Simbel, and the story attracted the attention of so many, including Henry Salt, the first British consul in Egypt. The story took place during Muhammad Ali's reign, the Ottoman Wali of Egypt, who attracted so many Europeans to help him modernize the country, which led to the establishment of so many foreign consulates and the extensive existence of Europeans in Egypt, mostly looking for work opportunities, adventure, or even dealing in Egyptian antiquities. The main activity of these consulates was Egyptian antiquities, and Henry Salt wanted to win the race and seize as many monuments as he could. With the recommendations of Burckhardt, Salt acquired a 2 meters Italian giant called Giovanni Battista Belzoni, a former convict and a stuntman at the circus where he gained his famous name, Patagonian Samson. Belzoni arrived at Egypt claiming that he has knowledge of hydraulics and offered Muhammad Ali his service, but the Pasha was not impressed. So Belzoni ended up roaming the streets of Cairo looking for a job until he bumped into Burckhardt. They became friends in a short time, and Burckhardt, who had so many connections, introduced Belzoni to Henry Salt. Salt found what he was looking for in Belzoni and quickly assigned him with several missions. The first was stealing the colossal statue of Ramses the Great at the Ramesseum Temple, which he managed to accomplish in very short time. This operation initiated Percy Shelley's poem Ozymandias after the bust was displayed at the British Museum. Operation Ozymandias was followed by so many successful raids that gained Salt a huge collection, which he will later send to the British Museum. The attention grew around Abu Simbel, and Salt wanted Belzoni to travel to the area for investigation of potential looting. Belzoni arrived at Abu Simbel and quickly recruited some locals to help him excavate the temple. After so many frustrations, and in August 1st of 1817, Belzoni cleared the entrance and entered the great temple of Abu Simbel. At the time, Belzoni was not alone. He was accompanied by 2 British officers, James Mangles and Charles Irby. We knew the exact date as the 3 left their names on the temple walls with the date. It was unprecedented at the time that a huge forgotten place is excavated. And the further Belzoni went into the temple, the more curious he got. But he couldn't find any objects or treasures to steal, so he quickly left the area after drawing and documenting his work. After Belzoni, Abu Simbel became a favorite destination for so many explorers, and eventually Emilia Edwards discovered the solar alignment phenomenon, which made the area a top destination until nowadays. In her book, Edwards documented that the phenomenon took place on both the 21st of February and October. But now it takes place on the 22nd, and the reason was that there is a final chapter of the Abu Simbel story. In 1959, an international call was made to save the temples of Nubia, which were around 20 temples, including the 2 temples of Abu Simbel. And the cause was the construction of the high dam that will avoid Egypt from the effect of the Nile flood and will create a water reserve, Lake Nasser, to face any potential drought. The call was first made by the late Egyptian Minister of Culture, Sarwat Okasha, and was quickly supported worldwide. And in March of 1960, UNESCO founded the largest rescue mission in its history to save the Egyptian monuments at Nubia. The main focus was rescuing the Abu Simbel temples, and the mission settled on a very simple plan. As the temples were carved into the bedrock, so they decided that the 2 temples will be cut into blocks using hand saws. The blocks will later be organized, numbered, and moved to the new location. So, the Great Temple was cut into 1,042 blocks, while the Small Temple was 807 blocks. The new location of the temple was 180 meters to the northwest of the original location, raising 64 meters from the original altitude. And finally, in March of 1968, the project was complete, after constructing an artificial dome to imitate the original mountain that the temple was carved into. This miraculous project was executed by the hands of 2,000 Egyptian workers, who reproduced the miracle of their ancestors constructing the Abu Simbel temples. It was the relocation of the temple that changed coordinates and ultimately delayed the phenomenon for 1 day. So now the phenomenon takes place on the 22nd instead of every 21st of October and February. The final chapter of the story was at the Grand Egyptian Museum, as the museum's team successfully applied the phenomenon to the colossal statue of Ramses at the Great Hall of the museum. So after thousands of years, the promised shining of God Ra on the face of Ramses was fulfilled, and his legacy was revived for centuries to come.